When Sarah was pregnant with me and David, she met an old monk. Pointing at my Sarah's belly, he said, "This pregnancy is a twin flower." My Sarah thought he was a swindler and turned to leave. But the monk's next sentence changed my life. Twin flower, one flower brings great wealth and fortune to all, one flower brings poverty and misfortune to everything. One Sarah didn't believe it at first, but whether it was to cater to the monk's words or a coincidence, the family seemed to be cursed during the pregnancy. Today, Michael won the lottery, and the whole family celebrated. Tomorrow, a car accident was fully compensated. Today, the house was demolished and a huge sum of money was obtained. Tomorrow, the developer went bankrupt. After tossing around like this a few times, my parents believed it. "Honey, what should we do? That monk is telling the truth." Sarah anxiously touched her belly. "But I don't know which one will bring great wealth and fortune." Michael looked at her belly, a sinister glint flashing in his eyes. "I'll go find that monk tomorrow." Michael searched for the monk for 3 months, and Sarah's belly grew bigger and bigger, about to give birth. The things happening at home became more and more bizarre, escalating to human lives. "Honey, this child hasn't even been born yet and has already brought death to Grandma Susan. If it's born, our whole family will be cursed to death." "Don't worry, my friend has already contacted him. We'll go see that monk tomorrow." The next afternoon, Michael returned disappointed, sighing as he looked at Sarah's belly. "What's wrong, honey? Is there no way for that monk?" Michael sighed again. "Well, he gave me a pill that can suppress the jinx, but the lucky star will also be suppressed." "Then what should we do? Our family has already owed a lot of money because of this jinx recently." Michael thought for a moment and looked at her belly with a fierce expression. "Then we'll feed her half a pill. Fortune favors the bold." As Michael said that, he fed Sarah half a pill. After that day, the family was indeed calm. There were neither happy events nor disasters. Until me and David were born. Sarah was in terrible pain on the day of delivery, giving birth for 2 whole days before finally giving birth. David was a big, fat baby, and my parents were beaming with joy. But I was skinny and small, born with congenital deficiencies, and stayed in the incubator for a full 3 months. "Honey, do you think this girl is a jinx?" Michael stared at my small face, pondering for a moment. "You stay at home with your son, and I'll take our daughter back to Mountain Ridge to see what happens." Still in swaddling clothes, I was taken to Mountain Ridge by Michael. I cried incessantly on the way, and Michael impatiently shoved a baby bottle into my mouth. I still kept crying, but he ignored me and went straight into the mountains. But before reaching the foot of the mountain, a mudslide broke out, and Michael narrowly escaped back to Oakwood several times. After that day, I was left to the nanny to take care of and rarely saw my parents. At the age of 6, I didn't understand the adults' thoughts. I just always heard my parents say, "Keep that jinx away from David, we don't want her to ruin his luck. I'll clean out the basement apartment for her to live in tomorrow." Not long after I moved to the basement apartment, Michael suddenly made a successful investment, and our family moved into a mansion in the suburbs of Oakwood. But I just changed to a larger basement apartment with a small window. I had never been outside. They wouldn't let me out. So I could only lie by the window and watch Michael and Sarah playing with David in the backyard. Michael held David over his head, and Sarah gently kissed his forehead. They were laughing happily. I wondered if it was because I was a girl that my parents didn't like me. I started to learn to be a boy, thinking that if I became a boy, my parents would like me too. At night, I secretly sneaked out, took a set of David's discarded clothes, and cut my hair short with scissors. Maybe my hands were too small to hold them steady, and I cut my head, and fresh blood flowed down from the top of my head, but I didn't care. Looking at the boy in the mirror, I smiled happily. I squatted in front of my parents' bedroom door, looking forward to their reaction when they saw me tomorrow. I waited all night with joy, but the next day, Michael looked at me with disgust and roared, "Who allowed you to become like this, neither male nor female? Get back, and don't come out." Looking at Michael's disgusted expression, I looked at Sarah expectantly again. Sarah kicked me without saying a word. A jinx is a jinx. A girl is a girl. Don't dress like that and curse David. Michael threw me back into the basement apartment. The violent sound of the door closing echoed in my ears, as if it had closed on my heart. I didn't understand that I had become a boy, so why didn't they still like me? Later, the cleaning lady told me it was because I was a jinx. My parents always said this, but as a child, I didn't understand what a jinx was. But later I understood. That year, when I was 7 years old, I sneaked out again because I was hungry. In the living room, David was wearing a hat and was surrounded by people. Others clapped and sang, "Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you." Michael and Sarah gently stroked David's hair. So today was David's birthday, and mine too. I squatted outside the door and waited until they all left. I ran to the trash can, found the discarded cake, grabbed it, and devoured it. That was the first time I had eaten cake. So that's what it tasted like. Sweet and sour. I licked my hand, tied up the bag, and took it back to the basement apartment. There was still a lot left. I would eat it when my stomach hurt from hunger. I hugged that bag of cake and prepared to sleep when I heard a noise at the door. I sat up all of a sudden. Could it be that my parents thought about not celebrating my birthday and came to find me? I ran to the door with a smile and saw Michael staring at me with a wooden stick in his hand, scaring me to take a step back. Michael. Don't call me Dad. I don't have a jinx child like you. That night, Michael beat me so badly that I couldn't stand up. I cried and shouted, "It's Stella's fault. Stella shouldn't have stolen food." Later, I learned that someone who attended the birthday party that day had died in a car accident. Michael thought I had cursed him to death. Lying on the ground all night, no one gave me medicine, and no one cared about me eating. My stomach was cramping in pain. I knew I had to eat something, but I couldn't stand up at all because I had been beaten. But fortunately, Michael didn't take the cake away. I grabbed a handful and stuffed it into my mouth. It was still sweet, no, bitter. Oh, it was tears. For me and David were sent to Little Angel's daycare. It was my first time going out, and I stood excitedly next to Michael. Remember, don't make friends, and don't get close to David. I nodded timidly, remembering Michael's words, and didn't dare to contact anyone. But there was a girl who always carried a rabbit backpack and kept following me despite my indifference. "Why don't you talk to me? Don't you like Luna? Your name is Stella, and I'm Luna. We can definitely be good friends. Why are your parents treating you like that? You're so pitiful." "It's okay. Luna loves you. Stella, take these foods back with you so you won't go hungry. Take this moon. If your Michael beats you again in the future, you can grab it, and it won't hurt, because Luna will fly to your side to accompany you." I couldn't resist her warmth and became friends with her. We played hide and seek together, went to school together, and made clay figures together. I had never been so happy. She would always secretly stuff a lot of food into my shopping bag. I didn't have a backpack, only the shopping bag from the vegetable market and to carry books. "Stella, I asked Michael to buy another rabbit backpack just like mine. I'll bring it to you tomorrow so we can be the same." I looked at the girl in front of me with smiling eyes and smiled along with her. "Okay. But I never got that backpack, and I would never have the chance again. I told you not to make friends, but you didn't listen. You jinx, you killed another one. I'll beat you to death." Michael pinned me to the ground and beat me, clutching the moon pendant tightly in my hand, not daring to make a sound. Tears fell drop by drop, wetting the ground. "Luna, you lied to me. Why didn't you come to accompany me? Please come back. I won't be friends with you anymore." Later, that girl who followed me disappeared. They said I had cursed her to death. I was a jinx. Gradually, my reputation as a jinx spread, and all the students ignored me, and even the teachers pretended I didn't exist. They all said David was a lucky star, and I was a jinx. David had the same appearance as me but lived a completely different life. I wanted to see David, but Michael wouldn't let me get close. So I could only hide behind the trees and watch David laughing and playing ball with his friends, going to international competitions, giving speeches under the flag, and learning various skills. I could only hide in the dark corners and secretly observe him. David, he lived in the sunlight, always cheerful and lively. I was only worthy of living in the shadows, watching him shine. And the only moon that belonged to me was also cursed to death by me. 5 After entering Northwood High, the people around me changed, and no one knew I was a jinx. David was still popular at school, but we had the same face and never communicated, which made everyone suspicious. The school held a sports meet, and my and David's classes were next to each other. I remembered Michael's words and deliberately chose a position far away from him. "Hey, that girl looks so much like you. Isn't she your twin sister? I've never heard you mention her before." I perked up my ears. What would David say? "Heh, you better stay away from her, or you'll be cursed to death." Ah? Really? What age is this? Still doing that kind of thing? The boy in the blue uniform obviously didn't believe it and kept looking in my direction. David looked over and smiled sarcastically. "Heh, she cursed Grandma Susan to death in the womb, and after she was born, she cursed 2 more people to death. She's just a jinx. You're my best friend, and I don't want to see anything happen to you." Hearing this, I didn't want to listen anymore. The name of the jinx was about to spread again. But I didn't expect that not only did that boy not spread it, but he also boldly ran up to me. "You're Stella, David's sister, right? I'm your brother's friend. Nice to meet you." Looking at the cheerful boy who suddenly appeared in front of me, I was a little surprised. After hearing David's words, he still dared to talk to me. I didn't want to hurt him, so I lowered my head and walked forward without saying a word. "Stella, why don't you talk? Don't believe those things. They're all feudal superstitions. Isn't your family okay?" The boy still relentlessly followed me and asked, just like that girl back then. Thinking of this, I hurriedly ran away. But he chased after me again. "Don't run. How about we be friends? If nothing happens to me, it means you're not a jinx." I ran even faster, but in the end, I was weak and was caught up. He grabbed my sleeve, and I was so scared that I wanted to shake him off. "What are you doing?" "Stella, didn't Michael warn you not to interact with people, let alone my friends? Are you doing this on purpose?" David suddenly appeared, angrily standing in front of the boy. "Hey, David, that's not right of you. I stopped Stella because I wanted to be friends with her. And your Michael is too much. How can he treat his own child like this? Luke, leave her alone. Stay away from her. She's really a jinx. Stella, get lost." David roared at me to leave, his eyes full of hatred. "David, I just said a few words. Why are you reacting so strongly?" David's eyes were dark and somewhat complicated. "Anyway, she's a jinx. Don't get close to her." I glanced at the boy who was indignant for me, turned around, and left, but I was always uneasy in my heart. Would he be cursed to death by me? 6 As soon as I entered the house, I saw Michael and Sarah, and David sitting in the living room. Looking at Michael's fierce eyes, I took a few steps back involuntarily. "Stella, what did I say? I told you not to interact with people. You just can't remember, can you?" Sarah stood up directly and grabbed my hair, slapping me left and right without saying a word. "Jinx, tell me, are you doing this on purpose? You just can't stand seeing David doing well, can you? You're just jealous of him. Why don't you go die? If you hurt David's friend, I won't spare you." David added fuel to the fire. "Dad, she's even spreading everywhere that she's my sister, making everyone think I'm a jinx too. Luke is going to break up with me. Michael roared and stood up, rushing to me, grabbing my collar, and hitting me. I should have strangled you when you were born. You cursed so many people to death and still want to harm David. I'll beat you to death today. My ears were ringing from the slaps, and I couldn't hear what Michael was saying. Maybe it was a good thing not to hear. Michael grabbed my collar and dragged me back to the basement apartment, took out the wooden stick he often used to beat me, and hit my legs hard. I bit my arm tightly, not daring to make a sound. Because last time I cried out in pain, Michael got even more angry and didn't stop until the stick broke. That way, I wouldn't be able to go out for a long time. I wanted to see if that boy was okay. After they vented, they threw me on the thin mattress like a rag. I didn't have a bed. I had always slept on the thin mattress that the nanny didn't want. My legs were so badly beaten that I couldn't stand up, and I couldn't go to school. I could only support myself and drag my bloody body slowly to the window. I didn't want to be in the shadows. I wanted to be in the sunlight. Soft light sprinkled down, blurring my eyes. I reached out to touch the sunlight, and tiny pieces of light danced on my fingertips. I laughed and cried again. Why was it me? Why was I a jinx? I couldn't get up, couldn't find food in the trash can, and no one would bring me food. My stomach was cramping in pain, but I was already used to it. The sun gradually disappeared, and the dim basement apartment never had any light. Only a broken body was left lying on the ground. I stayed in the basement apartment for a long time. Maybe the nanny was afraid I would die, so she threw in some medicine. I gritted my teeth and endured the pain to apply the medicine to myself. I wanted to get better quickly. After I could walk, I hurried to school. I wanted to know if that boy was okay. Standing in the corner, watching the boy with a bright smile, a stone in my heart finally fell to the ground. But why was he okay? 7 I had seen the person and turned to leave, but he saw me. Stella, why haven't you been to school these days? I asked David, but he wouldn't tell me. Hearing the voice behind me, I gradually quickened my pace. Luke took a step forward and stood in front of me, looking at me with a smile. Hey, why are you walking so fast? You see, nothing has happened to me these days, proving that this jinx thing must be fake. How about we be friends? Seeing that I couldn't escape, I had to take out the paper and pen from my shopping bag and write a sentence for him. Don't follow me. I don't want to be friends with you. After showing it to him, I walked forward without caring about his hurt expression, and the person behind me finally didn't chase after me. Today, the test scores came out, and I had regressed a lot. But I didn't care at all. Anyway, no matter how well I did on the test, Michael and Sarah wouldn't care. My seat was always empty at parent-teacher conferences. Who would care about a jinx? Hey, I know you don't want to be friends with me, but how about I be your tutor? I didn't talk to him and put my books in my shopping bag to leave. Luke reached out and stopped me, smiling. Stella, when you go to a University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, in a bigger city, you'll know that a jinx is just nonsense. Maybe those things before were just coincidences. I stopped. Were they all coincidences? But Grandma Susan, Luna, the person who attended the party, weren't they cursed to death by me? Luke, didn't I tell you to stay away from this jinx? And you, do you want to be beaten again? Michael won't let you talk to people. Can't you understand? David ran over anxiously and pushed me away angrily. I stumbled and fell to the ground. Seeing this, Luke wanted to help me up, but David stopped him. David, you're going too far. That's your sister. How can you push her? I looked up at David glaring at me, picked up my shopping bag, and left. Luke wanted to chase after me, but David stopped him. David, I just said a few words. Why are you reacting so strongly? David's eyes were dark and somewhat complicated. Anyway, she's a jinx. Don't get close to her. 8 The sunlight outside the window sprinkled in, and I slowly opened my eyes, suddenly realizing something. Michael and Sarah didn't hit me yesterday. Didn't David tell on me? After cleaning up and coming out, I found out that they had gone out and wouldn't be back for several days. I breathed a sigh of relief. It was good not to be beaten. David walked towards me with a gloomy face. Stella, I warn you, don't get close to my friends, and don't get close to anyone, or I'll tell Michael and Sarah to beat you to death. For the first time, I looked at this brother of the same Sarah and asked doubtfully. David, I rarely appear in front of you. Why are you so hostile to me? Because you're a jinx. Don't forget the 3 people who were cursed to death by you. David's disgusted expression made me not want to say anything more. I took my shopping bag and walked out the door. As soon as I arrived at the school gate, I saw Luke leaning against the wall. The blue uniform looked sunny and handsome on him. His eyes lit up when he saw me coming. Stella, we'll go to the study room to study after school today, so your brother won't bother us. Thinking of what he said, I hesitated. Would I really be able to know if I was a jinx if I went to a big city? Don't think about it. I'm telling the truth. When you go to a big city, you'll find that no one believes it at all, and they'll say you're feudal. I was finally tempted by what he said and nodded. He jumped up happily. You agreed. That's great. Cough, then. See you tonight. A blush slowly rose on his face, and he turned and ran. For several nights in a row, he tutored me. At first, I was still afraid to get too close and didn't dare to talk too much. But later, I found that Luke was really okay. Could he actually resist the jinx? 9-inch Stella, at this rate, it won't be a problem to get into a good university. We can go to the same school then. Luke smiled while grading my paper. I looked at the smiling boy and lowered my eyes sadly. Luke, I can't see you anymore. Michael and Sarah are coming back. He put the paper on the table, frowning with worry. Stella, I'll explain to your parents. I shook my head repeatedly. If you leave, Michael will beat me even harder. I'll work hard to go to a big city. I want to know if I'm really a jinx. He raised his hand and rubbed my hair, his eyes gentle. Of course Stella isn't. Even if others believe it and stay away from you, Luke won't. Come to my house tonight. It's my birthday, and my parents are throwing me a graduation party. He looked at me expectantly, and I hesitated for a moment, but in the end, I shook my head. No, I'm afraid you're the only exception. It's okay. Wait until they leave before you come. It's your best friend's birthday, and you won't be able to see me when your parents come back. He pretended to be pitiful and blinked his eyes. I still softened. Okay. He swept away his pitiful look and raised the corners of his mouth slightly. After returning home, I took out all the money I had earned from selling aluminum cans during this time. Since Northwood High, tuition was no longer free. To go to school, I would pick up aluminum cans to sell every day, barely enough for book fees. I wanted to give him a gift. On Luke's birthday, I hid in the corner, watching one person after another leave before daring to knock on the door. Stella, you're here. I specially saved a cake for you. Come in. Luke ran away in a hurry, and I stood at the door, still not daring to step in. Is that Luke's classmate? Why don't you come in? Following the voice, a man with a gentle smile walked over. He should be Luke's Michael, right? He smiled so gently. I didn't dare to speak and could only nod, but I still didn't move. The man smiled again. Are you shy? It's okay. Uncle is very easygoing. Come in. I was anxious and didn't know how to refuse, but fortunately, Luke came back. Dad, she's my friend, but she's a little introverted. Go ahead and get busy. I'll entertain her. The man glanced at Luke teasingly. Stinky brat, are you anxious? Hey, Dad, Grandpa and Grandma were just looking for you. Hurry up and go. Okay, Dad's leaving. I won't disturb you. Luke was a little embarrassed, looked at me, and smiled again. Stella, take this cake. I'm very happy that you could come. I took the cake and took out a box from my arms and handed it over. This is a gift for you. Happy birthday. The boy smiled and opened the gift box, and a Stella necklace came into view. Hey, you and your brother are indeed twins. You give similar gifts. He gave a moon, and you gave a Stella. Clang! My blood was surging, and my hands were shaking. What did you say he gave you? A moon. Just like this one, a crescent moon pendant. My eyes were red, and my hands were shaking. I stepped forward and grabbed his collar, and I pulled out the pendant that had been hidden in his clothes. A light blue crescent moon appeared brightly on Luke's neck. It was the one Luna gave me. I didn't know how I came back, clutching the moon pendant tightly in my hand and lying on the thin mattress. I'm sorry, Stella. I didn't know this was your thing. David gave it to me when I met him. Since it's so important to you, then take it. I have a Stella now. I'll wear this. I closed my eyes, clenching the moon, and the edges pierced through my palm. The pendant was lost after middle school. I searched for a whole month, but it was nowhere to be found in the mansion in the suburbs of Oakwood or at school. So David took it away. Why did he take it away? He knew that it was the thing I cherished most. But I couldn't ask. Michael and Sarah were back. If I asked, I would be beaten so badly that I couldn't get up, and my studies would fall behind again. I wanted to go to a big city with Luke. Forget it. It was good to have it back. I held the moon pendant all night. Tonight was the most peaceful sleep I had since the pendant was lost. The next day, I came to school and heard the students talking. Hey, did you hear? There was a sudden fire at Luke's house yesterday. Everyone except him was burned to death. Fortunately, his Sarah was out of town, otherwise, only Luke would be left. Ah. That's terrible for him. The action I was about to take to sit down froze, my heart rate accelerated, and I was trembling all over. Jinx, I'm a jinx. I cursed Luke's family to death, cursed them to death. I stood up and ran out. I stopped as soon as I arrived at Luke's house. He was sitting at the door, staring blankly, motionless. David was comforting him. Luke, stay away from that jinx in the future. I told you she curses people, but you didn't believe me. Alas, even for your Sarah's sake, you can't take risks. Luke didn't say anything, just sat there in a daze. I looked at David constantly comforting him, looked at Luke again, and left. I was afraid that if I talked to him again, he would be cursed to death by me. Michael and Sarah still found out, and David ridiculed me from the side. I told you to stay away from him, but you didn't listen. You cursed his whole family to death. Luke will never pay attention to you again. A jinx should hide and not contact people. Michael and Sarah had never been so angry. They didn't hit me, but they were silent with gloomy faces. You're about to be an adult. Once you're an adult, get out. The Sue family doesn't have a child like you. The hand holding the shopping bag tightened. This day had finally come. I didn't cry loudly. I nodded and went back to the basement apartment. Looking out the window, the moon seemed to be jumping in the sky, and the light it emitted illuminated the corners of the night, but it couldn't illuminate my heart. After that day, Luke never looked for me again. I knew he completely believed that I was a jinx. The students also heard about it and couldn't wait to stay far away from me. Every day, people wrote on my desk. Jinx, go die. Wherever I went, there were curses. When I went to the bathroom, a bucket of water would smash on my head when I opened the door. 2 girls came out, looked at me with disgust, and spat at me, but they didn't dare to come forward. It would be good if the jinx died. She harmed Luke so badly. Get out of our school. I heard that you cursed 3 people to death before. Why don't you go die? Why come out and harm people? I ignored the surrounding laughter and scolding. No matter how they tormented me, I didn't resist. Gradually, they lost interest and rarely scolded me. Without Luke, I didn't give up on myself. I still studied hard. I wanted to go to a big city. I wanted to escape this place. I wanted to move to a different place and live alone. I studied hard during the day and went to search through trash cans at night. Later, I specialized in picking through the Beverly Hills area. I saved up a sum of money intermittently. It wasn't much, but it was enough for my University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, life. The graduation party day came quickly, and I was about to be kicked out of the house. 11. It was lively outside. They were all preparing for David's graduation party, and I was packing my luggage. There wasn't much to pack, a couple of barely wearable outfits scavenged from the trash, a thin mattress, Luna's necklace. I put all my books in a shopping bag, tied it up, and sat on the floor waiting for it to be over outside. A graduation party. I'd never had a birthday in all my years. As far back as I could remember, the first time I learned what a birthday was, I happily went to find my Sarah and Michael. They were holding David, cutting a cake, his little face flushed with laughter. I ran over and tugged on Michael's shirt. Michael, Stella wants a birthday too. Michael kicked me away with disgust. You jinx, you think you deserve a birthday? Go back where you belong. Sarah gently soothed the frightened David, but her expression was vicious as she looked at me. Honey, lock her up and beat her until she can't get up. Don't let her bring bad luck to our lucky star. That day was the first time Michael beat me mercilessly. Later, I learned that a jinx didn't deserve a birthday, only the lucky star did. The noise outside seemed to have stopped. I cautiously peeked through the crack in the door. The living room was dim and empty. I tiptoed out, clutching my shopping bag, thin mattress, and rolled-up clothes. The night was like water, quiet all around, with only Luna in the sky lighting my way. I had found a cheap apartment before, far away but perfect for me. In another month, I could move to a different city. I put my textbooks on the desk and started studying. It was the first time I'd ever had a desk. After I moved out, I never saw Sarah and Michael again. They didn't care where I went or if I had money to live on. I did see David a few times at Northwood High, with Luke by his side. Luke had changed, no longer sunny and cheerful, but much more reserved. He saw me, his lips moved, his eyes complex, but he didn't say anything. We brushed past each other as if we had never met. I focused on my studies, ignoring everything around me, but a major event happened right after the college entrance exams. I walked out of the exam hall on that day and saw Michael staring at me, his eyes red, his expression gloomy, like an enraged lion. I froze, unable to move. He strode towards me, grabbed my collar, and dragged me forward. Dad, what happened? I listened to you and didn't make any friends or contact anyone, Dad. He spun around and roared, Don't call me Dad. I don't have a jinx for a child like you. The family's bankrupt because of you. It's all gone, all gone. Why don't you just die? If you died, we'd all be safe. Bankrupt? I lived so far away, deliberately choosing a place as far from the mansion in the suburbs of Oakwood as possible. How could they be bankrupt? Stunned, I let Michael drag me into the car. By the time I realized it, the car was already far away. Dad, where are you taking me? Dad? I clawed at the door in the back seat, trying to jump out, but all the doors were locked. To where you belong. After a few tries, I gave up struggling and sat numbly in the back seat, the scenery flashing by. I was going to die, wasn't I? Michael was finally going to kill me. The family had gone bankrupt because of me. What was next? Would Sarah and Michael be killed by me too? Well, it was better to die. No one would die because of me anymore. It's just. I wanted to live in a different city. Where no one called me a jinx, where no one knew me. I would stay alone, just me. After what seemed like forever, the car stopped. I slowly moved my gaze. Mountain View Monastery. Michael opened the car door, pulled me out, and threw me to a young monk before leaving. From now on, you'll stay here. You can't go anywhere, you hear me? If I find out you've left, I'll beat you to death. Watching Michael's back, I couldn't help but cry out. But I still want to go to University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA. A jinx doesn't deserve it. Michael left, and I stood there, letting the tears fall. Yes, a jinx didn't deserve it. How could a jinx deserve to go to University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA? I stayed at the Mountain View Monastery for over a month and gradually found it quite nice. Much better than my previous life. Sweeping and cleaning every day, listening to them understand the Bible, and no one me for being a jinx. One day, I was sitting in the main hall reading the Bible when a voice came from behind me. Are you a twin flower? I looked up in confusion, seeing an old monk with white hair. What twin flower? Your Sarah met me when she was pregnant. I saw at a glance that it was a twin flower pregnancy, one bringing great wealth and fortune, the other bringing poverty and misfortune. I looked at the old monk in surprise and said nothing, continuing to read the Bible. So that was it. I was destined to be a jinx from birth. But it didn't really matter. Hey, that's not right. Didn't your Michael say he was sending over the jinx? Why did he send you? You're the lucky star. The Bible fell to the ground with a thud. My mind buzzed, and I asked, trembling, you. What did you say I was? The lucky star. He only fed half a dose of the medicine back then, causing the effects to weaken. Besides, you're both adults now, and the medicine has completely lost its effect. Your Michael came to me for a solution. I told him to send the jinx here to pray every day, but why did he send you? Did your Michael mistake you for someone else? I couldn't hear what he was saying anymore. I only heard one sentence. You're the lucky star, you're the lucky star. I wasn't a jinx. Then, what about all the people who had died because of me? I had been here for over a month. Weren't Mom and Dad with David? Thinking of this, I hurriedly got up and ran out. When I returned to the mansion in the suburbs of Oakwood, I found that it had been sold. Stella. I looked up suddenly. It was Luke. I stood up and ran towards him. Do you know where my Sarah and Michael are? Luke looked at me with a sigh, his eyes filled with regret and pity. Your Sarah and Michael and David were in a car accident a month ago. Michael died on the spot, Sarah is in a vegetative state, and David is alive but not doing so well mentally. Sigh, some things are better coming from him. I stood there in a daze, following him with unsteady steps, unable to describe what I felt. I was in a daze the whole way, unable to understand what was happening. Luke led me to Greenfield Mental Hospital. Looking at David sitting on the hospital bed, I barely recognized the once golden boy. I'm not the jinx, I'm not. Stella is, she is. Ha ha ha, Michael said she's the jinx, I'm Sarah and Michael's favorite child. No, I don't want to live in the basement apartment, I don't want to. I don't want to rummage through the trash for food. David muttered to himself, crying and laughing. Suddenly, he saw me and rushed over. Why are you together? You're not allowed to be with anyone else, not allowed. Don't touch, if you touch me, I'll be exposed. Separate quickly. Luke, hurry, stay away from her, she'll bring bad luck to your family, she'll bring bad luck. No, Luke, I'm sorry, it's me who brought the bad luck, it's all me, ha ha ha. I understood some of what David was saying, but not everything. He found out a long time ago that he was the jinx. He warned Luna to stay away from you, but Luna didn't listen and argued with him. At that time, he thought you were the one bringing the bad luck, but he gradually realized that as long as you weren't nearby, whoever spent a long time with him would be cursed to death. The only way was to carry your things, so he was the only one who survived that fire. At that moment, I couldn't describe what I felt, but there was a sense of relief. I knew that he had caused all my tragedies, but who wanted to be a jinx? He was just another pitiful person. Endless fear had grown up with him. Afraid of being discovered, afraid of being switched with me, afraid of being beaten and hated by Sarah and Michael. Someone had to go through this. If it wasn't me, it would have been him. I went back to my apartment, got my acceptance letter, and applied to a University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, far away. But I never expected to meet Luke there. Stella, what a coincidence, you applied to this University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, too. Then we can see each other often. I looked at the big boy who had regained his usual sunny and cheerful smile and said nothing. After that, Luke would always ask me to study together, try delicious food, or go on trips. But I refused them all. Whether I was a lucky star or a jinx, I wanted to live alone for the rest of my life. But I made a lot of friends. They were great, just like Luna. Sometimes I would go to see David. He was still the same, laughing and crying like a madman. He would scream and panic when he saw me. Sarah was still the same, lying in bed, no longer with her past viciousness. And the lucky star lived up to his name. Without David's suppression and the effects of the medicine, I could get rich with any investment I made. A landscape oil painting I casually painted would be appreciated by an oil painting master and sold for a sky-high price. Whenever I encountered difficulties, someone would solve them before I even thought about it. But I didn't want this ability at all. I looked for the old monk, and he said that everything was destined and there was no way to change it. I bought a house, not big, but with large floor-to-ceiling windows. I would always sit on the sofa, staring blankly at Luna in the sky. In a daze, I seemed to see Luna. She was carrying that rabbit shopping bag, smiling sweetly, and waving at me. I raised my arm and waved back,